What's going on, everybody? Feder here from 3D Print SOS. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, as you saw by the description and the caption, we have two used Amazon returned Voxelab Aquilas. It looks like they both came from Texas, and it looks like at least one of them is totally jumbled up in there. The idea behind these is you can often pick these up on a place like Banggood or eBay for around $50 to $100, sometimes even less potentially. It seems like if they can confirm them to be somewhat working and everything can be confirmed to be in the box, they're closer to 100. If they're not confirmed, like these two machines, they could be around 50 bucks. So two of these were $100 or so on a site like eBay, which means that you can get potentially two printers for under the price of one if you are willing to troubleshoot a little bit and obviously to gamble. I have no idea whether or how these things got returned. I don't know if anyone's even assembled them. I labeled this one printer 1 and this one printer 2. Printer 1, like I mentioned, let's see if you can hear it. Sounds like a mess. Printer 2 sounds to be in there pretty good. My idea here is to show you guys what it's like, troubleshoot some of the issues, potentially if I can even get them running. The worst case scenario that could happen is we have a box full of some parts we can use for other projects or modify other printers with. So it's definitely not a total loss if it doesn't work. But if it does work, what I want to do is give one to a buddy of mine who's trying to get into 3D printing, and then I'm going to give another one to a school or a library or a similar organization, hopefully that I can teach some kids to 3D print or showcase the hobby to them in some way, shape, or form. So that's what we'll be doing with one of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbox them. We'll kind of see what's in there. We'll talk about what I'm seeing in each one of these boxes. And then off camera, I'll try to assemble both of them and get them running. And then I'll come back on camera with two of the machines and talk about what happened, how and why, and what's going to happen next. So it should be a fun little video to watch just for entertainment purposes. I get really excited about putting printers together. It's one of my favorite parts. To just mess with this type of tech and all these components and stuff. So it's definitely going to be fun to take these out and try to get them running, and hopefully I could take you guys on a journey and show you what it's like, because I know a lot of people have been purchasing and or are interested in these used Amazon return printers. So at least I can give you a little bit of a preview of what it's like before you guys commit any kind of money to this, to these potentially non-working machines. So it's actually going to be pretty fun to see or try to figure out or try to deduce why they got returned. So without further ado, let's get these boxes open. All right, I'll see you here in a second. All right, so this is printer number 1. Let's go ahead and unbox it, and I'll talk about what I'm seeing in here, and then we'll kind of get it out on the table, and I'll try to assemble one of these, and then we will move on to the next one afterwards. All right. Oh, sorry, that's gonna probably shake the camera a little bit there. Okay, so far so good. I see foam, that's nice. So I wonder why it was making all that noise. Let's actually keep the knife around here. Okay, let's see, let's take this foam off. Let's toss it on the floor for now. All right, right off the bat, I can see that this printer was definitely used. Let's see how they did with leveling. I see a little bit of scrape, but nothing too bad. And it looks like, I don't know if you can see that, let's focus. Looks like there is some glue, looks like glue stick on the bed. So that's interesting. I know at least at one point this machine printed, they might have gotten fed up and not held onto it. So one thing to note is this power cable is where the display normally sits. Let's see if the display is in here somewhere. I'll just start laying everything out on the table. I know you're not going to see all of it, but all right, just as a thing I always check on these things, the bed is definitely loose, as in like the wheels on the bottom are loose, which is definitely a common cause of people having trouble with leveling or having the printer not be able to stay in level or just having messy prints. And a lot of people don't know that those eccentric nuts are something that you need to adjust. So I can see that that's loose. There is just a loose belt. Is this the X belt? It is. How's the condition? Looks good. I don't think this was used for a very long time, or many times even. Let's see. Here's the extruder. I'm just taking a look to see if anything is fishy in here. I mean, it's definitely been printed a lot. You can see in the gear here. Actually, I'm not sure if you will be able to see that. In the gearing, there's a lot of, looks like green, or light green, or white filament. They definitely didn't clean that gear out, so we're gonna have to take a look. So yeah, it looks like they got all jammed up in the hot end, and that thing was just grinding on whatever filament that is. Huh, okay, looks like they printed with yellow, green, and pink. Fun. Okay, here we got the display mount and a loose T-nut. Anything else loose here? That's the hot end, we'll wait. All right, we got some mint color filament, which is nice, and a bed clip. All right, let's get this machine out of here. I think it'll also be fun to see which version of the printer this is. If it's an H32 or a G32, looks like I don't see a sticker. So it must be a G32 machine. All right, right off the bat, it's missing a foot. It's missing a foot on the bottom, so it's wobbling. Here's the other bed clip, and it looks like there is one of the hardware pieces is just laying there. Let's take a look at the hot end, see what's visually going on. Nothing too crazy. I don't see any visual clogs. Let's see under the thing, under the little, yeah, it looks like they must have had a leak. Looks like this is gonna need a nozzle change, potentially. Easy to do, not a big deal. We'll take care of that. Let's get the sock back on there. The wheels look like they're in decent shape. They were definitely used. I wonder if this part was a little bit over tightened. All right, no, nothing bent or out of place. Let's see how the bed is looking. Yeah, looks generally okay. The tension actually looks good, except it definitely looks like this thing is just completely out of kilter here. Okay, so I couldn't move it because one of these rubber feet was stuck there. Okay, I don't feel anything too bad on the wheels here, so that's good. Let's go ahead and put the foot back on. Just needs some adjustment so far. Is it missing another foot? It is. So it's missing another rubber foot on the back. Wonder if we'll be able to find that a little later. I don't know why you'd be missing feet. All right, let's keep going. Are they in here maybe? Here's another T-nut and another T-nut. They're dropping out of here. All right, we got two of those. What else we got? Nothing else. What is this? This is a razor blade that fell out of there. Rather sharp too. This isn't something that comes with the printer. So look, we got extra tools out of it. There's just loose hardware in here, not in bags. Just some bolts. Looks like the original Aquila manual with some writing on it. PLA, nut, ABS, 230-100. So there we go, we have an answer there. They were trying to print ABS on this machine. They probably didn't have an enclosure. They were using glue. ABS can definitely be a nuisance if you don't know what you're doing or you don't have much patience to set up. But hey, maybe they didn't see my video and didn't have the ABS profile. Perfect. So yeah, there is a lot of just loose hardware and tools. This is a fun little tool I haven't seen before. So yeah, we definitely got some extras in here. I don't know why you would need this on a 3D printer. Okay, the screen is just kind of laying down face first. I don't know if it works or not, but it looks good. Doesn't look beat up or anything. Okay, found the other foot with more hardware. Let's go ahead and throw that under there. There's definitely quite a bit of printer debris in here, so they definitely had a clog happen for sure. Here's a part of the tensioner, just miscellaneous hardware kind of just dumped into the box, which is fine. we'll figure it out. We'll find a home. So it looks like there's, for some reason, they took apart the Z. I'm guessing if this is off, maybe they tried to install a BL Touch because they were having some trouble with print sticking or something along those lines. I'm sure we'll be able to find out in the firmware what happened. Let's see, here's the other X switch. I'll just take everything out on the table. Huh, some tweezers. These definitely don't come with a 3D printer. All right, and let's try to get all this hardware out of here real quick. I'm kind of just gonna scoop it into my hands and get it out of here. Yeah, this is definitely all the stuff that holds the X-axis and the upper gantry area all together. I don't know if any are missing. So far it looks like it's here. Looks like this needle that can be used for clogs is very used. They definitely had issues with clogging. And with ABS, I can see how that could happen if you aren't patient enough and you don't have your settings correct. So some extrusions here. Hopefully, yep, okay, the Z screw is in here, that's good. All right, looks like for the most part, everything that we would need is here. There's some more loose hardware inside the box. Anything down here? Just looking for any nuts or bolts that we might need. No, that looks like it's it. Okay, that is printer number 1. Okay, now that we have everything out here, I'm gonna go ahead and try to put it together with everything in the box and see, by process of elimination, whether or not all of the hardware that we need is in here. So, all right, I'm gonna speed through this part and I'll see you in just a couple seconds on your end. All right, be right back. Okay guys, so there it is. It's assembled. It was actually really straightforward and easy. I didn't run into any kind of quirks. Majority of the parts were already here, aside from some tiny little things. I have not plugged it in yet. So let's go ahead and plug it in and see if it powers on. I'm just gonna have to plug it in. I already plugged it into the outlet, just not into the printer itself. All right, it's plugged in. I did check the switch on the power supply was in the correct spot, so let's see if it powers on. So far so good. We have the Voxelab logo. It powered on right away. The fan is blowing. Let's go to info and see what we got going on. 1.2.1. Okay, so it's somewhat earlier one from what I remember. Actually, I have to double check that, but it's running 1.2.1. I do have to still check the nozzle. I did replace one of the couplers on here and a bolt. I'll go over the list in a second of all my findings. The bed was definitely used quite a bit. It's not gouged like some of the other ones I've seen before or have even done myself, but it is definitely used. I cleaned it with soapy water, and I also used isopropyl alcohol, but you can kind of tell that the middle of the bed is maybe got sanded, but the middle of the bed is very smooth in relation to the sides here, which still have that coating. And if it's gonna show any kind of problems whatsoever, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip the bed onto the other side, onto the bare glass. I've printed on bare glass for ages and ages, and I still do on some other most used machines, so I have no problem in switching it over, but I'm just gonna keep it the way it is for now. So first things first, before we go over the list, let's go to control, let's auto home. Let's see where that takes us. Let's see if all the switches work. X works, Y works. Let's go down here and see what's going on. There was a couple things to mention. For example, the base of the entire printer, and that's number 1 on the list. The whole base was completely off kilter, just none of it was aligned. I'm not even sure, maybe they had it on an uneven surface and that's how they set it up initially. All right, so all the home switches work, so that's good. Let's disable steppers, and I'm gonna move this up just a hair. By the way, I know the fan's really loud, but hey, at least it's working. Nothing major so far. Okay, let's go ahead and preheat for PLA, and let's see, it's gonna want the bed at 75, which is rather high. We don't need it at 75. Let's go back down to, actually, you know what? I'll keep it 75 so that we can level it with a piece of paper. And the hot end is heating to 220 degrees. So when the hot end gets up to temperature, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the little wrench to go ahead and tighten the nozzle down to make sure that it's where it needs to be, because there was some residue around it, which is typically caused by a loose nozzle. Then we'll put the sock back on, and then what I'll do is I will go ahead and level it and then print with the machine. And I don't have the SD card, but I have plenty of stock Aquila SD cards. For today, we are going to be using this awesome baby blue PLA Plus by 3D Max. I've been featuring them on the channel a lot, and it's for good reason, because these rolls are really, really inexpensive, and honestly, they work. I have a ton of premium filament that I use for projects that I really care about, and they are really good filaments, but this stuff hasn't let me down whatsoever. The quality has been great, and this baby blue looks really good. Let me see if I can get it up close here for you so you can see the color. Nice little baby blue. So we're gonna go ahead and check that out while this thing is warming up. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the list of things that I wrote down here. I'm not gonna put the filament all the way in just yet, just because I gotta tighten that nozzle. This filament's just right over here, not all the way in. Okay, so let's go over the list while we're still heating. Yeah, everything's heating up perfectly fine. I made sure to check the thermistor. Also, I didn't go ahead and open the motherboard quite yet. I just wanted to see if it'll power on, if it has any problems. So far, so good. There is no sticker on this particular machine, so this is an original Aquila with the G32 board in it, which is really nice. I guess we'll find out a little more as we start printing. But here's what happened. Right away, misaligned bottom chassis, like I mentioned. It was just completely, I don't even know where they assembled it, but it was definitely not on an even surface. Basically, all I had to do was loosen the bolts on the sides, make it even, put them back in. The bed eccentric nuts were loose. I mentioned that in the unboxing. The eccentric nuts that hold the bed, and that is very hot. The eccentric nuts were loose, so the bed was loose. Tightened it, everything's nice and smooth, no problems there. The PTFE coupler on the extruder was jammed with an old PTFE tube. Looks like they just cut it off because they couldn't get it out of there, but it was jammed up, so I just threw on another PTFE coupler that I had laying around from another machine. It was missing an M5 bolt on the X-axis tensioner right over here, so I went ahead into my kit and put in another M5 bolt. Easy fix. It would technically work without it, but definitely missing, and it was not in the little spare parts kit or in the box. I double checked. And the last thing is it's missing a tensioner nut. So the tensioner right here is just missing completely. So what I did was I put a little nut on here, so I'm gonna go ahead and print one and install one of these threaded inserts or a nut into it, so it'll just have a printed tensioner. So overall, maybe $5 worth of parts missing so far. The fact that it turned on right away is definitely nice. The fact that this is glass and can be reversible is also nice, so it doesn't really matter if the bed was mistreated or not. So far, everything is looking promising on machine number 1. But now that we have the proper temperature on the hot end, let me go ahead and get in here and check the nozzle. Okay, loosen it a bit and back to tight. There we go. That should be pretty good. It actually was not loose, but worth checking anyway. Let's go ahead and put the sock back on. Now let's go ahead and use these tweezers. And actually, let me mention that it did come with all of the tools. Like they put all of the tools that came with the machine back into the box, and there's definitely some extras. Like I mentioned, there's some tweezers, some kind of wrench that you definitely don't need for 3D printing, and this little blade from something. So hey, we have extra tools even. All right, everything looks good from there. Let's go ahead and push the filament through. So that is looking pretty good. And now that I know that the hot end is not clogged or anything, I'm gonna go ahead and cool down the hot end. So let's go to settings, temperature, nozzle 0. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to level the bed, and when you're leveling the bed, you don't want plastic residue coming out from the machine. So we'll go ahead and let that cool down before we level it. And then I'll start a print, and I'll see you here in a couple seconds, and we'll move on to number 2 if everything's fine with this one. All right, see you here in a minute. All right, looks like our print is done. It's been 33 minutes. Let's see how it did. Now, this isn't an elaborate print, but as you can see, perfect. So, at least with this particular machine, it looks like someone started printing and they printed a bunch. Tried different materials and that didn't work either. They had some kind of clog because the little needle that comes with it was all bent up and clearly used. Looks like they had some kind of PTFE nozzle related clogging and then gave up and just disassembled everything and put everything in the box with their tool, with their tools. So this is a fully functioning machine. I see nothing wrong with it, and the benefit to this particular one is this is an original Aquila with the G32 chip, so it's compatible with everything and it's capable of everything. And yeah, let's move on to the second one. Let's see if we can get lucky twice. But so far, this hook, absolutely perfect. All right, let's move on to the next machine. Let's get the box up here and I'll unbox it. All right, so on to the second machine. This is printer number 2. This one has no sound when I shake it at all, so that's nice. Let's go ahead and unbox it. I might shake the table a little bit, so sorry about that, but it's gonna require some force occasionally like that to get things open. All right, so right away we have the filament that comes with it, still sealed. Yep, still sealed. We got the manual and zip ties still in the box, or in the bag. So already a little bit different than the first one here. Let's take a peek. Okay, first thing we see is this one is still all bagged up. The bed is completely unused. Let me see if I can get that. That is an untouched bed. There's some fingerprints on it, but I don't think this printer ever printed. So I guess we'll find out in a second if it was something related to the printer itself or if they just couldn't get it running. Let's check the bed. Definitely has a wobble in it. Just like the other machine, this needs the eccentric nuts on the bottom adjusted. I mean, you can hear that, I'm sure. So yeah, some people don't know that you have to do that, so they get a little lost. All right, spare tools. This one, the display is in the right spot. Display looks good, no scratching or anything. Got the display mount, all the hardware still on it. The spool holder. Yeah, I definitely don't think this printer ever printed. There's no scuff marks on anything. The bed looks unused, and the extrusions are still wrapped up. So this is actually a brand new machine. There is, this machine was not assembled. So yeah, this was a return, just, I'm not sure based on what, but it looks like it was definitely opened before, but unused. Just want to see if all the parts are here. Yep, everything's looking good. Yeah, no filament, no traces of filament anywhere on this machine. So far so good. The bed springs are laying in here like they normally do. Let's see the print head. Yep, this has never seen filament for sure. No markings on any of the wheels. So I guess it could have been returned just because someone got overwhelmed, or maybe it's missing a part, so it never got assembled. So let's go ahead and check on that. You know what, instead of me taking this printer out of here, let me just put it down and let's take a look at the rest. I mean, yeah, everything is still bagged. This was never assembled. Interesting. The foot is off on this one too. Okay, so they definitely had it out. At least the top section of the machine has definitely been out. Oh, I see what's going on here. This was an exchange. All right, here's my guess here. Nothing else has been touched. Nothing else has been opened. No hardware or anything. However, you see the foot here? Go ahead and put this thing down for a second. Yeah, the SD card is still in there. Let me get this printer out. All right, so this is also a G35 machine. Okay, it's missing the front leg over here. I have a feeling this machine was assembled but then returned, because even though those extrusions are all brand spanking new, we got some markings from where they were previously installed, and obviously that could have been from the factory testing. Actually, no, I take that all back, because the hot end would have shown signs of use, and this has nothing. It is super clean. I guess they could have replaced this portion from a machine as well. So what I was originally thinking, because I see some little bits here and there, but that could be from testing from the factory. What I was thinking is someone could have bought one and put in their base that wasn't working anymore and just took the base. But upon further examination, this is definitely brand new. Let's look at the wheels. Oh yeah, the eccentric wheels on the bed are brand new. Yep, and I can tell the wheels, the springs, are definitely not under proper tension. So no, this was never a leveled machine. The belt is still loose. Yeah, this machine is brand new. Okay, so this one's a little less exciting to get running, because this is just going to be a standard Ender 3 and Voxelab Aquila installation. But let me go ahead and do it anyway, and we'll get another new color from 3D Max to try out. This time we are going to do their vintage rose. And this is another awesome looking color. The baby blue came out great. I definitely want to print a little more with it. And then we can do this vintage rose. Kind of almost looks like the same color as my skin. Should be interesting. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing I did. I am going to assemble this together. I have a feeling that I'm not even gonna need to write on this list, because this is looking absolutely fresh. But we'll test it anyway. I'll put it together, and what I'll do is, if I'm going to donate one of these, I'll donate this new one, and my friend can get the used one, because I can always help him directly if he's going to need any help with any of these. All right, let me get this assembled, and we'll go from there. Cool. All right, just a little bit of a pause here in the build. I did end up putting this thing together. I loaded it with filament. I didn't turn it on yet. It's still unplugged. But everything on this machine went really, really smooth. It's pretty much a brand new machine. You know, things were still packaged. So this is not as exciting as the other one, because the other one at least had some obstacles to overcome. But this was a really straightforward, just standard printer build. However, just when I thought I was finished, I don't know if you remember, I said that the bed was wiggling. If you move it forward in the front position here, there's no movement. However, if I put it towards the back, there is a little lump that you can kind of feel. Let me see, there it goes. I found it right there. And I know it's hard to tell from this angle, but there's actually a wobble. And if you push it a little bit past it, no more wobble. So that means that somewhere in this V-slot extrusion, there we go, there's a real big spot right there. Somehow, maybe in shipping, or maybe when the person got this, the wheels ended up crushing the channels, the V-slots on the extrusion. And I've heard of this before. I haven't seen it before in person, so this is a good way to see this. And I have a piece here from another printer that I took apart to show you kind of how it works. So if I bring this up to the camera, as you can see, there's these slots. Let me see, there we go. There are these slots in the extrusion that the wheel slides in. And if this groove gets pinched at all, or there's some dirt in there, or whatever ends up collecting in here, you'll feel a bump in the travel of the bed in this case. And it looks like in the case of this machine, it goes inward instead of outward. It's not a piece of dirt, it is literally a crushed channel. So luckily, this isn't that complex of a piece. Essentially, to fix this permanently, what we would have to do is we would have to disassemble it, and we would have to rotate this. And the way to do that, you do need a drill and a tap. You do need to be a little bit patient. However, as long as this is flat and the holes somewhat align, you should get it really close if you can drill this yourself. So what I want to do is I'm going to use this one and just take this one apart. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure where these holes are at. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees, just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and tap and drill and tap the same holes as are here. And I'm going to go ahead and install it on this machine. Now, if this is something that you guys are experiencing on your machines, obviously you might want to message Voxelab. They have a warranty period. They might do an exchange of the machine. They might send you the parts that you need to fix this. But if you're in a situation like this, where you took it upon yourself to try to solve this problem, and you have the willpower to drill 4 holes and tap them with a tap, this should be a really easy fix. So I'm gonna go ahead to the garage. I'll drill the 4 holes, and I'll see you here in a few minutes. All right. All right, so I'm back from the garage, and here's what I ended up doing. As you can see by the markings here, this was the installed side. All I did was I took my drill bits, found the nearest matching one, and I drilled straight through, the straightest I possibly could. And this stuff went through like it was cardboard. It was really, really easy to drill. So let me see if I can line it up for you. As you can see right there, I drilled all the way through. On this set, see, hasn't been installed yet, nice and clean. These are the holes that I drilled and tapped. There's 4 on this side, and then a much smaller 3mm hole right over here. And actually, the tap set that I used was just absolute garbage, to be honest. And actually, not so much the larger tap, but the smaller tap. This 3mm tap, just, even though this stuff is literally like cardboard and paper, this thing just went dull and destroyed the hole. So I will have a link in the description of the tap set that I will be purchasing myself. I would not recommend this really cheapo set from Amazon. Even though technically speaking this did get the job done, still I don't really want to use it again. So I'll definitely be looking for another set for myself. I do this type of stuff often with other projects, and to me this type of tool in my 3D print arsenal is pretty important. So let's see how this works. Into the original hole. Yep, and let's see our holes, if this fits from the other side. Perfect. So there you go. Essentially what we did was, this was the installed side, which means it was down. If I go up to the top right over here, I don't know if you'll actually be able to visually see the area. Right there. Right over here, there's an indentation. Actually on both sides, you can feel it with your fingers. Right there. And essentially, I'm guessing this could have been through a drop of the box and shipping, potentially. Either way, it's indented, and that would definitely transfer into the print, and it would definitely, if the printer was in that spot specifically, it would definitely be really tough to start a print going in that spot because the bed is wobbly, it would never be level there. So essentially all we did was we flipped this thing 180 degrees, and now this top rail that's nice and smooth is what the printer is going to be riding on. And it is just 4 bolts and then one more little one to hold this little shroud. So it's such an easy fix. You guys can do this yourself. I think I'm going to cut this clip separately and put it as a short, just in case you guys have a problem like this. Okay, I'm going to throw this back on the machine. Hopefully the next time you see me, this machine will be printing. All I'm going to do is install this, put the bed back on, level it, and run some of this vintage rose through the machine. So I'll get them both back up here, and I'll see you here in a minute for the conclusion. All right, see ya. Oh, just as a quick thing, I forgot to mention, because the M3 threads were stripped, what I did was I just went real slow, lubricated the M4 one size up and drilled through that, and the little M4 screw fits right into the cover still, so I was able to just upsize this little piece right here that helps it just hold a little bit more snug. Easy fix, but like I said, these taps, stay away. Let's find some better tap set that's still affordable on Amazon. I'll see if I can link it below. All right, let me keep going. All right, so there you go, 2 Amazon returns with 2 very different issues. You guys are going to ask, was this worth it? For me personally, I say yes. This type of stuff I really enjoy doing, trying to troubleshoot these things, getting them to print. And as you can see, these benchies on both the machines are coming out perfectly. One machine definitely had a shipping or a manufacturer's defect. Those dents should not be there on the V-slots. So that was definitely not something that you see every day. Luckily, this aluminum extrusion is very soft, very easy to do with very simple tools. As you saw, I did it with just a regular drill and some really inexpensive taps, and it's printing perfectly fine. The other machine looks like somebody ended up trying ABS and clogged the hot end of the machine and was not able to troubleshoot it, even though it was not clogged when I received it, but you could definitely tell that they tried to poke through. They tried to, you know, the nozzle had some leaks. There was definitely issues, but it looks like they got fed up and just put it all in the box. They didn't put anything in bags. They just kind of dumped everything in there. And you know what? After assembly and putting a couple bolts here and a little knob on the end, it's printing perfectly fine. At least in ABS, the benchy looks absolutely perfect. So, was it worth it to me? Yes. I think for $50 to $80, something like this, check out eBay for these things. Sometimes they go on there in bulk and you can buy several of them at a time. They're fun projects. They're fun parts if you need some parts for your machine, or you just want to mess around with one. Maybe you use the Ender extender kit on one of these things, something along those lines. You can't go wrong for this little. In fact, just buying these extrusions and a few of these motors would equal that same price, but you're also getting the hot end, you're also getting the screen, the motherboard, lots of stuff. And luckily, I know not everyone's going to get this lucky, but both of these things are the original G32 machines, which is really nice. And you know, me knowing that I get to move pass these forward and pay them forward to somebody else, you know, to see somebody else get into the hobby, that makes it worthwhile for me. So definitely exciting, fun, and easy project to do. Hopefully, if you guys didn't know how to do some of these things, maybe you know, just me talking about it and showing how to do it has helped in some way, shape, or form. Definitely check out 3D Max filaments. Both of these filaments look absolutely gorgeous. They kind of have like this vintage look to them. The baby blue and the vintage rose, they both look great, as you can see you know, earlier on the screen. And definitely check out the Discord and the Patreon for the channel. Some people might not be able to get things fixed like this, and they will look for YouTube videos and comments for Reddit, Facebook groups, and Discord channels. And hopefully, if you knew how to get this done, you could potentially help them, and we can all build this awesome community, helping each other, pushing everyone forward, sharing each other's prints. That's what the Discord channel is for, and it's really fun to see everyone communicate in there. So definitely check that out. Patreon. Also a link in the description below to the Patreon for this channel. I often showcase these videos early to my patrons, as well as ask questions and show what I'm working on, what I'm doing to them first, since you guys are helping the channel directly. So thank you everybody for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about these things. I had a lot of fun putting these two together, and hopefully you guys had some kind of entertainment watching me do this, because I definitely had some fun. All right, as always, I'll see you down in the comments. Later.